I'm back. I have a slight headache. Gosh. It feels like it's been a long day. It kind of has been a long day. Because I first started out running errands, guys. About, I don't know which one of these things should I eat. What's up, Nelson? You caught me. Like, I don't even think these things are... This one seemed like you got coronavirus or something. Everything has corona. But yeah, I was out earlier today. Running errands back and forth. I ended up like at FedEx like twice today. Because trying to set up direct deposit. And, you know the whole thing when you're just starting a new job, which is my pre-doc internship, and just starting the paperwork and I'm scanning and printing, and I'm like, okay, I filled the form out incorrectly, had to go back, resubmit it, still filled it out incorrectly. I'm just like, listen, even though it wasn't that far, but it still was just. Then I go to the bank, get a voided check, because I don't use checks, but I had to get a voided check, and I was happy to see that they actually give out, like, I thought you had to order checks, right, in order to do that, but it was like, no, you can just, I went in there and I told them what I needed to set up direct deposit for my internship, and he was like, yeah, we'll help you out. He was like, usually it's $1 per check, but I'll give it to you for free. People just giving me discounts and free stuff. I was like, I'll take it. I'll take it. Y'all men be doing that, and so y'all can't be mad, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of goes along with the title of this video. It's just like, when you do stuff, just do it from the kindness of your own heart, you know? Sometimes I don't understand, man. So yeah, that was like the first part of my day, and then I went into my actually work part where I was like working remotely via this video conferencing app stuff, and I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm tired, but I really, really want to talk about this topic, and I really want you guys' input. Please help me out here, because this is on my mind. It's like, I'm tired, but I have some stuff on my mind I want to share. And this topic actually came across my mind like maybe a month or so ago, but I didn't do a video on it. And so it kind of resurfaced again today, and I'm just like, you know what? I got some stuff I need to share. I don't know. I was excited about working remotely, but it reminded me how much I hate Zoom. I mean, you guys know I like to make videos, right? But making videos and sitting in front of a camera, especially just listening, and I think that's what it was. It's just the information overload. Because, you know, when you start a new position, it's just so much information coming in, right? So that's what it is. And the headache is like right here in my frontal lobe area. It's just like, all of that freaking cognitive processing that was happening today. That's what it was. That's what it is. So much processing. So, yeah. I'm just going to come and talk to you guys. We're going to just chat it up. But I shake my head because y'all know I'm biased. I admit that I'm biased as a woman. So, of course, I'm going to take the side of women because I'm just a woman and I'm biased, right? I'm speaking from my own personal perspective. And so I've been seeing like this thing lately where men are assuming that women funny to me. Like, this is completely funny, but men are assuming that women are using them for free food. Free food? I guess if you're a struggling woman, right? And you're hungry and you need something to eat, I guess. But even still, like, I'm trying to picture myself in that position where I'm struggling. I have very limited resources, right? I'm imagining myself struggling, very limited resources. And so how can I get food if I have very limited resources? Oh, I could just pretend to like a guy and go on dates with him and get free food that way. I don't know. That, to me, that wouldn't be the first thing that crossed my mind if I'm like struggling. First of all, if I'm like in that position, I don't think I would want to date. And that's why it sometimes concerns me when I come across men, even especially, who want to explore dating and so-called fall in love, but you are fucked up financially. There's a hierarchy to this thing. Like, there's an order that must be in place. And that order is that your basic needs should be met. Like, it makes sense, right? Especially when you look at it from a theoretical perspective. Maslow even says this, hierarchy of needs. So your basic needs should be met. That's housing, food, just basic needs, right? And then once those things are met, then you have the space, you have the capacity, you have the interest and desire to pursue other things like affection and love, right? So I don't know, but I guess sometimes they can get kind of intermixed, and some people probably try to take advantage of that, and they will date or pursue affection and love to get their basic needs met. It just seems out of order to me. Like, I don't know. I would not be thinking about dating, sex, guys, or any of that if I'm trying to keep a roof over my head or food or whatever. So that whole like line of thinking, that type of thinking, it makes me laugh, right? And like I said, I've come across this recently, and I want y'all to share if you've come across the same thing. Men or women, as I know you guys mostly speak from your own personal experience too, but excuse me, I just like, what? I'm like, women are doing that? I just don't see that happening, because I'm like, if you're in that position, like, there's so many options you have. I mean, you got food stamps, you can apply for food stamps. Granted, food stamps may not be enough, because I guess they only give you a certain amount of food stamps, depending on your income, depending on if you have dependents, children. But that's one option, food stamps, food pantries, like, reaching out to family members, possibly. Friends can help. But dating, like pretending that you like a guy, just, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, maybe because I value time. I feel like time is more valuable than anything. Time is more valuable than money in my book. So for guys to assume that a woman, or even myself for that matter, like, used him for lunch, for a meal at a restaurant, like, my time is valuable, yo. Like, if it don't work out, and I think I did talk about this kind of briefly though, I hinted towards this in one of my other videos, but I'm like, if it don't work out, hell, I'm disappointed too, just as much as you are, because I feel like it's wasted time. That's what I'm concerned about. But there's a trend that I notice nowadays where men are becoming more concerned about the money that they've spent on dates. Now, let's look at these days, right? It's different levels to dating. And I've experienced pretty much the whole gamut when it comes to dating. I've been on the average date. You go to a nice restaurant, get some good food, you know what I'm saying? Soul food, whatever, Italian. I've been on, like, nice restaurants, right? When I say nice, I mean like your average, where the bill for two people comes to about 70, 80, 100, maybe 120, right? I've been on those kind of days. I've been on days where we ain't even eat shit. We ain't even eat shit. We just hanging out, chilling, watching TV, or, take a walk in the park, get some takeout, not even sitting down, eating, one of those kind of days, I've slipped up a few times and been on some, like, very shameful days, right? The food wasn't even involved. It was more like, we may sip some wine kind of thing, just talk and chill, right? Which I'm really opposed to that, because you have guys that be like, oh, their ideal for a first date is drinks. And I'm just like, no. What's up, Ernesto? Y'all know I'm coming with it. Oh, y'all. This place near where I live, bomb cheesecake. I've been getting strawberry, but I had to switch it up because I was like, dang, they got a variety, and I think they get their desserts from Junior's. They don't want to tell me, but I figured it out. Junior's, y'all. And Junior's is like a really nice soul food restaurant here in New York. This is chocolate. This is Oreo cheesecake. Yeah, it tastes just as good as a strawberry. I like both, actually. And I'm a foodie myself. I mean, you guys can see, like, if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see, like, I stay at restaurants, and that's as a single woman, me treating myself to these things. You know what I'm saying? I know good food. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether I'm in LA, New York, I know good food, and I do this for myself. I don't need handouts. Georgia, you know me? Do you know me, Ernesto? I don't know no Ernestos. No, I'm not in Georgia. Georgia was so 6 years ago. I done moved to New York. I moved to New York from Atlanta, Georgia, 2014. Then I was living in New York. Then I moved to the West Coast, and I was out in LA for my past 4 years, working on my PhD, and now I'm back home. This is home for me, baby. I'm back in New York. But yeah, so I've experienced a variety of options when it comes to restaurants and going on dates and stuff like that. And I'm not picky. This is the thing about me. Like, I am not picky when it comes to, oh, we gotta go to this kind of restaurant or that kind of restaurant. He has to spend this amount of money. Because I'm more interested in getting to know the guy, the person himself. And there are many ways you get to know a person, right? Of course, you can get to know a person over some good food. I wouldn't suggest going to the movies. Even though I love going to the movies, but not when it comes to like a first date, getting to know someone. I'm a simple person. We can go to the park and sit at the park. Of course, food should be involved. Don't get me wrong, because I'm like, okay, when we meet up, right? There stands a strong chance that I'm pretty sure this is very likely. It's very likely that you're gonna be feeling my vibe. I'm gonna be feeling your vibe. I give off that kind of energy. It's just like, you're gonna want to spend time. Even when I'm just on the phone talking to people, like, go for hours, because I know how to connect with people, right? If I want to connect with you, I will connect with you, and we'll be talking for hours and hours and hours and hours on the phone. And likewise, the same thing in person. So that energy is just going to be there between us. And we're going to be spending several hours together. And granted, if we are spending several hours together, food has to come into the picture. So I don't understand on these dating sites where guys be like, their ideal for a first date is drinks and only drinks. And I sometimes question and I say, okay, well, I asked some guys this. I was just like, yeah, I'm just straightforward, right? You say whatever you want to say. Some guys take offense, and they have. But I say, yeah, that's a cheap way out, right? Like drinks or coffee. That's another thing. It was like, oh, let's just go for a coffee date or tea. First of all, I don't even drink coffee. I don't. And you have to call them out on it. Like, we're just being cheap. You don't want to take a risk. And when you think about it, like food, like going to a restaurant, the average restaurant, it doesn't cost that much. But it depends on your budget too, though, what you're working with, right? How much money are you bringing in on a daily, weekly basis? Because if you are not bringing in that much money, I can understand why an $80 date for two people is gonna hurt your pockets. You say you can remember you were supposed to take me on a date, but we never got to it. Really? I gotta go back and look at your profile now. Yeah, so it makes sense because it's all relative to like the amount of money you bringing in. And y'all dudes be fronting on the sides of y'all pot. Like, you ain't got to front. Oh, I make six figures. If you make six figures, you're not going to be looking at an $80 receipt, like, hard like that. Like, you ain't going to be looking at that shit like that hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I said, I'm a foodie. I eat. So I'm used, easily, I spend like $30, $40 on myself. Feeding myself, you know what I'm saying, when I go to restaurants, like, and that's nothing. I've been doing that for a while. I've been single for several years, you know what I'm saying, so, and comfortably at that. Like, I'm okay being single by myself, but of course, I'm coming to the age in my life, like, I'm like, shit, my clock is ticking, right, so I don't have any kids. Yeah, I do want to have a family. I do want to procreate, but I'm like, I do this, you know what I'm saying, like, going out to eat and eating good, like, I do this. Shit, since the pandemic, since I moved back to New York, April 1st, it's shameful, I think, how much money I spent just ordering delivery. It's crazy. I had to, like, catch myself and slow down because I'm just like, dang, hell, like, you can be doing something else with this money. Like, this is getting insane. But, so, yeah. So, that narrative of, oh, women are using men for free lunch dates or whatever, dinner date, whatever time you go out on your date, whether it's lunch or dinner, that narrative has kind of been circulating around, not just on dating sites, but this is something I've heard of from acquaintances where guys say, like, yeah, that's a thing. He had a friend, he said that he went through something like that, and he found that the woman had his number saved in her phone under food. And I'm just like, I guess. But what kind of women, in that case, then what kind of women are y'all dating? It's a choice of woman, but it just does something to me to hear something like that. And then not only that, but for a guy to have his guard up towards me and feel like I might be suspect. Now, granted, because I keep it 100. So yes, I've gone on dates. Guys have spent money, and things don't work out. But you can't, just because things don't work out, you cannot draw the conclusion and say, oh, well, she just used me for free food. Because you got to think about this thing. It's just like, come on, think about this. Now, you really think a woman of a certain caliber who feeds herself very well, right? I'm very well fed. You think she's going to use you? She's going to spend her time and take a risk, going on a date, spending her time, bringing somebody kind of into her intimate, personal circle, and she don't know you, but she's going to risk that for you buying her food? I'm like, okay, I'm trying to imagine myself in a situation where, okay, I needed food, right? I ain't have much resources. Yo, if a woman, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, you might as well trick. Like, if a woman has to go to that extent, right, to try to get food, and she's that, like, down that low, why don't you just like, I don't know. That's just y'all let me know what y'all think. But I'm like, food. It's funny to me. But in a way, like, seeing it from a guy's perspective, I kind of get it. It may feel like that. And it's kind of similar to a woman's experience and how she reflects on going out with a guy that she felt, that it was going to work out, right? She was attracted to, and he's my type, and she get all in butterflies and everything. And they go out, and she's feeling it. So, nature takes its course. So the woman is feeling it. One thing leads to another, and they have sex, right? But then things change. The dynamic always changes. I mean, nothing stays the same, right? The dynamic between people always change. And so somehow she gets the message that maybe he is becoming less interested in her. And then from that, she can also draw a conclusion to say, oh, he only wanted me for sex. He got what he wanted. But y'all, we got to think this thing through, because I'm like, okay, if a man only wants to be with a woman for sex, why just hit it one time? Now, unless the shit bad, right? But I think sometimes we draw illogical conclusions, both men and women, because that person will continue to come back. If they only wanted you for sex, if a man only wanted a woman for sex, then he's going to continue to use her for sex. Same thing. If a woman is like, okay, this is just a free lunch date, free food, got you saved in her phone as free food, right? When you call, it's like, then she's going to continue to use you for free food, not just a one and done thing. So you have to take it a step further to think of past beyond being a victim, because some people, men and women, have become victimized to the point where they've been traumatized. And so these things happen where after the first date, something changes and, something happens, right? And it triggers something, and it kind of takes them back to previous experiences that they had. And they just somehow draw this conclusion, oh, that person really didn't want me. They only wanted me for what I can provide for them, which could be partially true. But we're talking about like something like food, and then it's a one and done thing. It's like, y'all let me know what y'all think about this, because this just doesn't sound right. It's just, Now granted, you got men that are married and they cheat on their wives, and they have, affairs, right, with mistresses, side pieces or whatever, right? But a lot of times it's like an ongoing thing. Now, yeah, you got some people like spontaneity, so they like to just go out there and explore and have their fun and one and done thing, and that's it. That happens, but when it comes to dating and like you're talking to someone, right, and it's already been established that you have something that you're interested in, like you want a serious relationship, and that person has also indicated that, and you kind of both know. It's not that, okay, you're going based on what a person says, because people can say anything, right, on their profile and out their own mouth, but you both have come to an understanding, and it's kind of clear, like, okay, that both of you want a relationship, right? It's clear, you're at the age where you're ready to settle down. Like, you're looking for love. You're looking for something more, right, than something that is temporary. Then how would you assume that, oh, a person just used you for food, or a person just used you for sex? Because it's already been communicated and made very clear that this other person wants a relationship just like you. They want something serious and long term. So just because shit happened on the first date and it didn't go as you planned, and after that it's always something, right? It's always something that happens where you develop your own interpretation of that something that happens. Maybe they didn't call you back right away, you called them, missed call, and you're like, okay, this person doesn't call me back. You send them a text, they didn't text you back, so then you say, oh, they don't want to be with me. Life happens, you guys. There's more to life beyond yourself, and sometimes we can't see beyond ourselves and our needs. And I get it. It's like we make assumptions and we have these expectations on what a person should look like, what they should do. So, oh, a man should do this, a woman should do. If a person loved me, right? We always come with the ifs. If then, if they really cared about me, they would call and check on me 3 times a day. If this person was really interested in a long-term relationship, they wouldn't be hanging out past 11 o'clock at night with their homies or their homegirls, or they would not position themselves in certain environments that is really not conducive to a long-term relationship, right? Because you're exposing yourself to situations that you know you're going to end up in, that's going to compromise what you're trying to build. Well, we come up with these scenarios. If they did this, or if they really do care, then this wouldn't happen. And that could be partially true, but I think communication is really important. It's not to say you undermine your instincts, because my instincts never lie. And you'll have people say, oh no, sometimes your instinct is wrong. No. Trust your instincts. If your instincts are telling you something, chances is like it's true. Depends. Every man is different, so is woman. Right. Everybody is different, and you can't. I will say yes, you can draw conclusions, but you got to be careful in drawing conclusions. Don't be so quick. Which is a protective factor. Like, we draw these conclusions because we're like automatically, subconsciously protecting ourselves. Nobody wants to be hurt. Wow, I cannot believe Facebook just interrupted my broadcast to send me a notification about a post. Like, Facebook, you are so disrespectful, y'all. So disrespectful. Like, my broadcast did not have to be interrupted for that. But anyway, and I hope that it's still in sync. The audio and the video are still in sync. Because sometimes when your broadcast gets interrupted, it is, it loses the sync. So we'll see. But yeah, we come up with these false assumptions and erroneous expectations of the other person. And it's not realistic. And I'm not immune, because I know I have my thing. Like, I'm very particular, and I get asked this question very often, like, oh, why are you single? You're so beautiful. They know, like, I have a lot to offer, of course. It's clear as day, right? And like, what? It's not that, oh, I don't have options. I just feel like I'm very selective. It's not that men ain't banging down my damn door, but it's just I'm very particular, and I admit I do get turned off by stuff. Like, I get turned off really easily too. I have my own assumptions and expectations that I put out there, my own if-thens, like, right? Because especially at this age, I know what the hell I want. I know what I want, and I know what it should look like. And I'm like, okay, if you ain't falling in that, if your behavior doesn't match what I'm looking for, what I want, I can't change you, right? I can't go out and change him and make him fit the kind of prototype in which I'm looking for. Even though I may like a lot of things about him, it's just like, okay, if you're doing stuff that's turning me off, then I'm just turned off. I'm not interested. And I don't want to get into too many I can go into details, but I don't want to, because I know, like, different people watch me and they're gonna feel like I'm talking about them. So Ernesto says, what am I looking for? I feel like the funny thing about it, most men that I actually go on dates with, I've been on a lot of dates, but most men I go on dates with, they actually meet what I'm looking for, because I screen guys. So before we even make it to the first date, And they sometimes they wonder, like, damn, does she really like me? And I've been asked this question, like, do you really like me? And I'm like, yo, if I'm with you, like, on a date, obviously you made it this far, yeah. So the basics is just like a man who can hold his own weight. You know what I'm saying? A man who's self-sufficient, who's a caretaker. I like the traditional man. I like men who are providers, protectors. Your traditional, what do you call it, 1940s man or whatever, right? Dominant men. That's just my type. Physically, I mean, of course he gotta look appealing to me physically, right? But it's more about the inside that counts. And of course, being that I don't have kids, I prefer men who do not have kids. Point blank, period. Because I have my own philosophy surrounding men who do have kids and they're not married to the mother of their child. I'm just like, okay, you ain't married her. Why would I stand a chance? Like, what would make me different, you know? People basically repeat patterns. That's just my philosophy. And I say, oh, well, people can change. Or maybe it was her fault. And it's like, no. If I meet a guy and I just so happen to give him the time of day to explain why he's no longer with the mother of his child, and he goes to say his initial response is, oh, she, da 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 da. No, I completely lose interest, like, right off the bat, because that lets me know that he lacks insight and he doesn't take responsibility. I don't want a man who attributes blame to other people and doesn't take responsibility for his actions. Like, that is so unattractive to me. I like men who own their shit. And granted, yes, it takes two people to fuck up a relationship. But if you starting off with, oh, what they did wrong, they did this, it's just like, let's talk about you, because that lets me know you don't really have much insight into who you are as a person. You know so much about another person, but you don't know nothing about yourself. I like for men to talk about themselves, to have that, level of insight and awareness, self-awareness. Not to be conceited necessarily. That's a whole nother, That's, to me, is a turn off. Like, I like confident men, but men who are just, the total focus of our meeting is just about you. Hell no. No kids. That's amazing. How old are you? I'm 30. I'll be 37 on the 28th. 37. But yeah, so that part, and I have more to say, y'all. I have a lot to say about this topic. It's just also free dates. That, to me, I just can't get. I'm like, what? I mean, that's, I think, a guy's interpretation. Just like it's a woman's interpretation. Like, after things don't go right, then she feels like, oh, I've been used. Like, you feel that way. You feel like you're being used, right? But, no. And so, I can reflect back, y'all. I will never forget this encounter. So, this happened in California. Of course, I was living in California the past 4 years and dating. And I came across this guy, entrepreneur, financially set, right? Financially established. It was nice looking, but he didn't necessarily meet my criteria, like, in terms of weight. Like, I never dated an overweight person, really. Like, that's not really my thing. He was overweight, but it wasn't sloppy. He was more like a football player. What is that? Quarterback, I guess. Like, he was big, you know what I'm saying? Kind of stature or whatever. And so, yeah, this video is talking about men who give out free dates. But it's really not giving out free dates. It's just like men who feel used, right? Because that's a thing nowadays. Like, men feel taken advantage of by some women, and they feel like they are being used for a free meal, which I find to be hilarious, but whatever. So yeah, so going back to this guy, California. Oh, I can't even tell y'all like exactly everything that happened, because that would take a whole nother hour. But let's just say, it always goes good till it doesn't go good, right? So we were like, going on dates and stuff. chilling, having a good time. It ain't like he was coming out his pocket spending big money, because I mean, you don't really have to with me, right? Like, despite what I look like, I'm a pretty simple person. Ernesto says, oh, that's true. Okay, so how is that true? Okay, so I think it's all about perspective. And so, you know, we came around to another date, right? Because he had, like, we went out in Hollywood. We went to Hard Rock Cafe. Granted, the meal, like, I feel like I'm very conservative, right? So I am not, definitely not the kind of woman like, oh, I gotta order the most expensive thing on the menu, kind of like, no, because I'm respectful. Like, I have humanity, right? So we go to Hard Rock Cafe, and this is in Hollywood, off of Hollywood Boulevard. And, you know, he's like, what do you want to eat? I ordered something very, like, simple, you know. And I think we ended up actually sharing it, right? And I can kind of sense, like, he was trying to, like, kind of pinch the pennies, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to spend a guy money if he don't want it to be spent. Just like, but I also understand, too, like, guys, they could be interested in a woman, but they also, like, everybody try to guard their heart. Nobody want to get fucked over, you know? And so I kind of sense that about him. And so, you know, I forgot what the hell did we order. I think we ordered some chicken wings or something, like appetizer, something simple, right? We just sitting out getting to know each other. And so the next day, we met up again the next day rolled around. And, yo, went to freaking Denny's. And it was like, it was out kind of far away from my house, because at that point when me and him met, I was living in South LA, and I was working, or I was getting ready to start work at the prison, which was 2 hours like north of where I was living. And so me and him had discussed, like, you know, my interest in looking for an apartment closer to my practicum site at the prison, so I wouldn't have to drive that distance. And he volunteered. It was like, I didn't ask him. He was like, you know, we'll take you. You know, we can go out there, you know, and do the apartment tour or whatever. I'm like, cool. So we went to this Denny's out there, right? Now we went to the Denny's, and of course we ordered food, sat down, ate, and in the middle of eating, do you know this motherfucker? Just out of nowhere, yo. It, like, shit fucking, you talking about switching gears and turning cold? Out of nowhere, he was like, I don't feel like you appreciate me. I was like, where is this coming from? He was like, I don't feel you appreciate me because, I've taken you out, like, I've done certain things, and I never hear you say thank you. And I'm like, that's not true, because I'm always expressing gratitude. That's just second nature. Most black people say thank you after they receive something from somebody, no matter who that person is. It's just second nature. He's like, well, I don't remember you saying thank you. I'm like, okay. And so then he goes and says, when I could talk about it now, but yo, I felt so embarrassed and so disrespected. He goes and says, yeah, so I'm not gonna pay for this. And I think when he said it initially, I thought he was joking, right? I kind of took it as a joke. I laughed. I was like, okay, you ain't paying for it, you know. And we've seen like little skits, and you know how black people joke about, oh, nobody ain't gonna pay for the meal, and everybody just get up and like dodge out the restaurant, right? As a joke, right? So he's saying this, and I'm kind of like, you know, because I'm a humorous person, I can take a joke, I can laugh, right? So I kind of laugh. I was like, you ain't paying for it? Okay, so I ain't paying for it either. So you just sat here and ate a nice breakfast or whatever. All right. So he was like, no, I'm serious. Like, I'm not paying for this. I'm looking at him like, okay. So his mood just kind of switched up, right? I'm feeling his energy, and I'm just like, his mood switched up. Dude stood up and exited the restaurant, right? So me, that's the thing about me. Like, when shit go high, I remain calm. That's just how I am, and the nature of my work, you know. Remain calm. So So I'm just sitting there. After he walked out, I'm just like, okay, maybe he needed some time to himself. He goes outside, and then the waitress comes to the table because I guess she suspected someone, right? So she came to the table, and I asked her, I say, did he pay? Did he pay on his way out? And she was like, no, he didn't pay yet. I was like, don't worry. I say, I'm about to go out there and talk to him. He about to come in here and pay. So I went in and talked to him. He jumped on the phone with somebody. I don't know who the fuck he was talking to. Could have been his freaking wife. Exactly. What the hell? So I step outside. Man, this is only one story. Y'all, my life is a fucking roller coaster. Y'all have no idea the things. The things, you guys. Okay. And so I go outside. I'm like, you okay? Like, what's up? Nah, man, I ain't paying for it. I say, no, you're going to pay for this because it was your idea. It was your choice to come to Denny's. Like, we didn't have to come here. And if you knew that you didn't want to pay, then don't give the impression that you're going to pay. You know what I'm saying? I had to put my foot down. I was just like, don't give the impression you're going to pay. It's okay. You could have said, you know what? You pay for yours. I'll pay for mine. Okay, we could have did that. Like, big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not even about money. Right? And so it was kind of some back and forth. And then he went inside kind of stomping like he mad and went and paid. And I'm just like, it only take one time to show me your true colors. That one time, right? So he paid, but he kind of paid like begrudgingly, right? He felt like he said, like I wasn't appreciative of him. So that was it. So this is the beginning of the day. This is in the morning time. We hadn't even did the errands that we're supposed to do, right? So the plan was like after that, like he was gonna go and check out some apartments. So he gonna like we get in this truck. He had this SUV, whatever. We get in the truck. He's like, oh, put in the address where we're going. We not going where you think we're going. We're about to split. So I put in the address for the closest bus station or whatever, right? The public transit. And granted, now we're like 2 hours away. We out in the middle of nowhere. Like, ain't no trains out there. We out in the middle of nowhere. It ain't really city buses. It's more like intercity buses kind of thing, right? And so I was like, yeah. And so we pull up, and he looking around like, this don't look like no apartment complex to me. I was like, it's not, because it's the public transit. Like, I'm about to part ways. I don't want to be a burden to you. You already expressed how you feel, so bye-bye. And so he parked. He in shock, because he's just like, damn. Because I'm kind of like, you're not gonna mistreat me. Like, this is not gonna go the way you think. And so I'm sitting in the truck before I'm like getting my stuff, get ready to get out. He grabbed my arm. I'm like, what did you do? And he was like, oh, you ain't going nowhere. I was like, no, I'm going. Like, you don't want me here. Like, I'm not gonna play this seesaw game with you. Like this tug of war game, like you doing shit and trying to get a reaction out of me, and then we cool and all. No, I don't do the back and forth. Like, you're gonna be one way with me or the hot. Like, no, I don't play those games. And so he pulling on me, and he, basically motherfucking having a temper tantrum. Men do have temper tantrums. So he having a temper tantrum. Oh, it's messed up. You're gonna do me like that. So he playing the victim at this point. Complete, like he the victim, right? Oh, that's messed up. I'm just, I care about you. I want to be with you. I did all this stuff. Like, granted, me and him had only freaking been around each other maybe for 2 weeks. So he like making it seem like, oh, I did all this stuff with you. Like, we know each other forever and shit, right? And he's like, yeah, I don't feel appreciated. I'm just like, well, that's not the case. And so basically how I took that, I'm just like, this motherfucker got some shit. Like, when a person like overreact like that, it's not you. It's some stuff that they got that happened way before you came into the picture, right? And I knew that. He kind of hinted towards that too. And he eventually opened up and told me, oh, I grew up without my mother and father. I grew up in foster care and all this fucking hard knock life shit, right? And granted, I'm a therapist. I do care about people and their childhoods and traumas and all of that. But listen, on a dating level, like, dude, you need to be a whole person coming to me, because I'm a whole person. And I have my own childhood shit that I've been through, and most of my shit really happened as a young adult, not really in childhood. And I'm just like, we all do. But that don't mean that I blame you for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not your responsibility to be my therapist to heal me. Yes, to understand, at least try to understand. But come on, like, don't be sitting up here throwing up all that bullshit on me. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I'm on the receiving end of his motherfucking childhood trauma. Just like, hell nah. Like, you coming at me the wrong way. Like, you're not going to mistreat me. So we sat in the car for a little bit, But I tell that story because it does tie into this. Because he felt used. And you have men that feel used by women when, yeah, they may have been done wrong, but you can't take that out. Like, you'll miss out on a good opportunity taking out past traumas on people that have nothing to do with that, right? I know I'm a good woman. And I'm just like, yo, why are you, like, seriously, to not pay for the day? He paid for it, but the fact that he paid for it begrudgingly, I'm like, that's it. And being the forgiving person that I am, even though I was fucking pissed off at his ass, came back around the following week. I had not talked to him for an entire week. Came back around because he called me. Oh, I'm sorry. Da 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 da. We reconnected, and it's like when you give a person a second chance and they fuck over it again. So I'm just like, nah. Like, hell, he's like very jealous, territorial. Oh, let me check your phone. Let me see who you're messaging. Like, very insecure. And trust, I study psychology. Like, I'm a psychologist in training, so I get it. It's not that I don't. I completely understand. But just because I completely understand the source of a person's behavior don't mean that I have to fucking put up with that bullshit. And in fact, I choose not to. And it's like, you know, it's one thing to be aware of your own trauma as a person, to be self-aware. But if you're not, and you projecting that shit on the other people, and be like, I don't want a chaotic relationship. Maybe back in the day when I ain't know no better, okay, I might catch myself up in some fucking dysfunctional shit, right? But that's no. I want a healthy relationship, because when you know better, you do better. Point blank, period. And there are like warning signs that people give off in the beginning. And then you end up in the situation like, well, damn, how did I get here? It's because your ass was just all lovey-dovey and blinded. You had your blinders on. You didn't see it, but it was completely there. It's right in your face, blurting out, you know? So for me, with the given experience that I have, personal and professional experience, it's just like, I see these things. Like, they blurt out. And it can be a blessing and a curse. It can be a curse in the sense that I see them so readily. It's just like, okay, I don't want to deal with that, you know? And I just push all these prospects to the side because I'm like, I can just see how that shit gonna unfold, you know? So it's a curse in that way, you know? But it's a blessing because I'm protected, because I don't have to go down that path. Like, why would I want to go down that path, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I understand how men may feel like, oh, you know, they want to protect their heart too. Everybody trying to protect their heart. Nobody wants to get hurt. But that whole thing about being used, it's like I said, it's funny to me. For a free meal, like, you got to come better than that. When I say that I've dated men of different caliber, and y'all see now, I even post, I talked about it, like when this past, most recent Christmas holidays, right? Christmas, New Year's holidays, like, I was dating this guy from New York, African guy, who wanted me to spend Christmas holidays. He flew me out at the last minute from California to New York. So the ticket was like $1,000 round trip. He paid for it. Like, this is what he wanted to do. You know, I mean, I was open to it, but it's just like, yo, he wanted to do it, so he paid for it. And then that was on Christmas Day. It was like, some last minute shit. Like, I'm very spontaneous. Paid for the flight and everything. I get there. He picked me up, met me at the airport, picked me up from the airport. Had already, like, booked. And I like this. I like romantic guys. And I like guys who don't mind taking risks. Like, especially with their pockets. And so, you know, he paid for this very expensive, elaborate freaking dinner reservation. Like, he did all this stuff in advance without me even putting my input in. Which I like stuff like that. You know, I like that. You have some guys like, oh, what do you want to eat? And that's cool. You know, you want to get my input. But I like guys who take that risk and, you know, you ask the right questions so you can get an idea of what kind of food I like, which is pretty much open. Like, I'm not picky when it comes to food. And nice ass fucking dinner reservation in Times Square at a really nice restaurant. I had never been to this restaurant, so I'm just like, okay. Like, I like that. Okay, he's basically doing something for me. Not that I would not do that for me, but I can't recall, like, ever spending that much money on a plate of food for myself. You know what I'm saying? Whereas, like, the other guys I've dated, like, y'all just doing shit that you think you're doing something so special, which it could be special, but it's not anything different than what I already do for myself. But this guy, on the other hand, like, yo, he came out, he dished out some money. That dinner reservation for us came close to like $1,000, like $800, and it was really nice. Like, it was at the what is it called, Marriott Marquise in Times Square. It was nice, and of course, this is around the Christmas holidays, so he showed out, right? So I probably would understand if he got upset, which I think he did. Things didn't work out between me and him, and I talked about that. Just like, it ain't work out, because we'll talk about it in another video. I made a post about this, but it's just like, yeah, I can understand why, like, a guy like him would feel a certain kind of way, because it's just like, damn, he came out of pocket. Like, yeah, but also, he was making money, and, you know, you got a lot of motherfuckers that say, well, I make 6 figures, I make 7 figures, but they ain't really there. He was there, but he didn't express anger. Like, we just stopped talking, and I stopped talking to him because I became frustrated. Became sexually frustrated, you know. So that's a whole nother story. But let me know what you guys think, because this is just a topic that came across my mind. Of course, it's on my radar, being that I'm on the dating scene. And, you know, I care about men. I just want to give y'all a big hug. Like, sometimes I just want to, like, oh, you need a hug. And I be wanting to give them, like, the secrets. Like, put them up on game, because I feel like a lot of men just don't know. Like, y'all don't know. It's like, it's nothing wrong with, you know, the traditional date. The dinner date or a lunch date. Like, going out and eating food, you know. Now they just want to be hesitant. Like, oh, no, I don't want to do that because it might be the wrong person. And I guess they come across more wrong dates than the right ones, apparently. So they feel like, okay, it's a waste of money kind of thing, right? But I also believe in the power of our thoughts, right? And if you go into a situation and you got this negative thinking on your mind, like you believe, oh, it's not gonna work, or you so cautious. Granted, I know I'm cautious too, right? But I'm also optimistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not in my mind so heavily fixated on, oh, it may not work. He gonna try to use me, da da da. Like, some of these men, you can tell, like, they're so guarded. They talk about women being guarded. No, men, y'all guarded too. Especially with y'all guarded in different ways with y'all pockets and, you know, how much money y'all want to spend on the first date and all that kind of stuff, right? But, you know, I get it. But it's just like, that's, you know, you get to another person, I feel like you talk to them on the phone, video chat, like, you can pick up on vibes, you know what I'm saying? And just be a man, like, take initiative, like, and a woman that's really serious, and especially if she want to settle down, and you're that man, yo, it's gonna take a match made in heaven. Like, y'all equally want each other, y'all equally, like, feel like for each other in that respect. It's like, you want her just as bad as she wants you. It cannot go wrong. It goes wrong because it could be the female who may kind of pull out interest or show less interest, or the male sometimes. And it's just like, when the other partner, believe it or not, like, people, we smart. We pick up on stuff, man, very easily. And you can pick up, like, okay, that person interest is not really quite matching your level, your intensity of your interest in that person. So that person may fall back. I know this is how I do. Like, I feel like, because nobody want to be hurt, right? So I know I can fall in love, right? Like, my heart is open and receptive to love, you know? And I feel like, just to protect myself also too, I'm like, okay, I know I can give love, right? Like, I know I'm in a position to love and to fall in love right now. But I'm also gauging, because I go on dates and I feel like, okay, if a guy is not really, he's showing interest, of course he shows interest, but if I feel like, well, damn, like, is his intensity of interest, like, is it matching mine? Because if it's not, then nah. And I kind of basically, and I had this talk with a associate of mine. She was like, yeah, you pretty much make a guy like show his love, his interest, like more than you. It's like, yeah, like he has to, in a way, I guess, prove himself. You know what I'm saying? And then I will match that. So you jump out on a limb, right? Because I feel like men should lead. Men definitely should be leaders. You jump out on the limb. You show your interest. You invest your time. Because I let guys know, like, I don't hide secrets. I'm like, time, quality time is my love language. And if you give me your time and attention, like, that's one key to my heart, I would say. But, you gotta definitely communicate, too. Like, communication is important. Because that builds a bond when we're talking, and getting to know each other and sharing moments together. That obviously helps build that bond. And this is just my belief. Everybody got their own way of thinking and doing things, but for me, I just like, it may sound kind of creepish, but when a man like really invests his time into building a relationship with me, that just says a lot. Like, I feel like, because you'll have guys, like, of course, they'll like spend time with a woman, right? Oh, let's go on a date, and they kind of plan. It was like, oh, we're going to hang out on Friday. We'll hang out. Nah, motherfucker, don't give me no special day we're going to hang out. Like, I feel like if you really into me, I know when a man is really into me, because I've been in love. And I know when a man is really, really feeling me, right? Because he will give you his time and his undivided attention. And that's the kind of woman, like, I feel like I want, yeah. Especially in the beginning anyway, like, we're building. We're laying a foundation, so yeah, and considering the context of the dating landscape, we know, like, how hard it is to trust people, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think on both ends, it requires a level of commitment, of investment, on both parts to make it work. Because when there's a lack on either side of, of energy invested and time invested, like, no wonder this shit don't work. And you mad at the other person, like, oh, well, she used me, or, he used me. It's just like, no, you didn't even invest what you needed to invest to make this shit work. You get out what you put in, Motherfuckers want to divide all their time and energy, but you trying to build something. And this is, I've always give this example when I'm about to end this video, because I can go on and on and on and on forever on this topic. But I always bring this up and talking about this, right? People who work 9 to 5s, which is a good percentage of people here, even people who say they're entrepreneurs, y'all still work 9 to 5 for the man, for the system. And you will invest 40 hours, sometimes y'all be doing way more than that a week, at these jobs. And you give a lot of time and energy, like, so much energy is put into that one thing, right? And you can say, oh, they paying me. Okay, well, what is that worth, right? But it makes sense because, okay, you got to pay the bills. So you're willing to invest all of that time and energy into that thing so you can yield this result. You understand, right, that it takes time and energy. If you want to make however much money you make, $3K a week or whatever the fuck you make, it's going to take a certain amount of time and energy and commitment and focus and attention dedicated to that thing to yield that result. Why y'all think relationships are different? You know what I'm saying? So I think that people, they say they want a long-term relationship, or I want to be with her. But do you really? Or do you just want the benefits that comes with that? Do you just want sex? Or do you just want to feel like, okay, you have somebody that in your mind cares about you? You know what I'm saying? But are you willing to invest so you can reap your return on that investment? You got to ask yourself this, guys, who feel like you're being used. Because I guarantee you, like, come on, if you putting in time and energy, real time and energy, just as much as you dedicate how you so committed to your 9 to 5 job, working for the system, or whatever you feel has your heart. A lot of y'all invest a lot of time in your business. That's cool. Because a woman like myself don't want no broke ass man and a man with no ambition. So I love a man with ambition, but you can do all of that. You can do all of that. You can have ambition, put a lot of hours to building your dream, your business, working, you know, your job on the side in the background. But you have to nurture that thing that you want to build. If you want a relationship, invest in that. You know what I'm saying? Don't be treating a potential prospect of a female as a side piece. Nobody want to go like a side piece. Like, oh, well, we're going to just, you know, hang out. We're going to meet up on Saturday kind of thing. And then you go the whole week without even reaching out, calling, communicating. You're not really consistent. That's what it is. Y'all lack consistency. And so a person is going to respond to your energy, what you putting in, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, okay, you know, people learn very quickly, you know, where they stand in another person's life, basically. And it's just like, okay, it's clear. So you can't be mad if that person reciprocates the energy that you are putting in, or the lack thereof, and they do the same thing back to you, right? And they show a lack of interest, or they prioritize other things above you and the so-called relationship that you're supposed to be building with that person. It's just like, it's a no-brainer. But I've said enough. I want to hear what you guys think. I will catch you guys later. Feel free to leave your comments below. Y'all are a trip.